Hello and welcome back to Hockey Talks. I'm Carl. It's Dave here. We're going to go over a few things tonight. First, we're going to go over the NHL entry draft, which is happening right now as we speak. We're going to go over a few draft picks that happened, the first few. The NHL award ceremony also happened earlier this week, and we're going to go over the who won what and who got snubbed. But first of all, Dave, we had a very, very intense Stanley Cup final between Edmonton and Florida, with Florida coming on top, first ever Stanley Cup.
And both teams really did leave it all on the ice.
Absolutely. There was nothing left in the tank, especially for the Oilers.
Absolutely.
Especially for the Oilers.
They had one, I think something that people needed to remember was that there was two teams that both went 3 in a row in the final, but getting a sweep or getting that fourth game in a row is a very challenging thing to do. Nonetheless, the Florida started out 3 in a row, followed up by Edmonton 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I think in game 7, both goaltenders played phenomenal. I don't know if it was necessarily one of those games where there wasn't enough penalties called or anything like that. I think the penalties called were penalties that had to be called. Aside from all the other roughing and things like that, I watched it and it seemed fair to me.
I think the refereeing was right fair. Yeah. I think the refereeing was fair enough. It's just when it came down to the end, the Oilers had nothing left.
Yeah, and there was,
see it.
And unfortunately, I don't know if McDavid contributed, but there was one where he had an opportunity to actually get the tie, and it was a tip that is a pretty far shot to go in, but it was one of those where if anybody could do it, it's McDavid, and unfortunately, it just didn't hit the net, and that left the Florida Panther Barzal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Barzal, his goal was the separator between a win and the loss. Yeah.
Barkov.
Barzal.
Barkov.
You can tell I'm an Edmonton fan at heart.
Yeah, but they gave it all. Had to come back from 3-0 in the series, which they accomplished, but that took a lot out of them. And I think you could see it in the final. They tried to push, but at the end there, they had, I think it was like almost a minute left, and you could see that they were trying to make passes, but they weren't moving. Nothing. There was just no fight at the end. They had nothing. Even Connor McDavid had nothing left, and you don't see that very often, right? So You could tell they gave it their all, but ended up coming short to the Florida Panthers, who clinched their first ever Stanley Cup. And what did they do? First day, next day, Matthew Tkachuk takes it swimming into the ocean.
Oh.
So it's always fun to see what they do with the cup afterwards.
Yeah.
And the parties that go on and stuff like that. But right after that, they had some things to accomplish, and the NHL had to keep going, so they went right into the NHL awards.
Well, actually, one thing before that I want to talk a little bit about is the fact that Connor McDavid actually ended up winning with Conn Smythe.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't go out and claim it. So I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are on that, but I mean, I respect it. He wanted the cup, he didn't want the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, well, exactly. If I was in that, I wouldn't go up for it either. Honestly, if you're there for the cup, you lost it, there's no way you want anything to do with that ceremony after, right? I mean, you're not winning the Stanley Cup. You came so close within
one game
goal, with pretty much a goal, and that could have changed it. And I don't blame him to come out, and it's not very often that a player from the losing team in a Stanley Cup final gets awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy. But in this case, Connor McDavid did play, and I think he was probably worthy of it. But I don't blame him. I wouldn't come out either.
Yeah,
I would not come out either. But
it was pretty interesting to see, though. Florida did score the first goal of the game.
They did,
and they were able to hold them off and get the victory.
Yeah,
it's it was a very exciting game, but now that's all behind us, and now we're onward into the entry draft.
First, before the entry draft took place, we had the NHL awards happen earlier this week. We had all the speculation of the Hart and Ted Lindsay and all that stuff. Who's going to win the Vezina Trophy? Because we had 3 good goalies that won that, right? Or 3 good goalies that were in contention to win that, I should say. But ultimately, the Hart Trophy, Nathan McKinnon. He played hard throughout the entire thing.
Absolutely.
I think he was well deserved of the Hart Trophy. Actually, he won two trophies. Actually, Ted Lindsay as well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah. He I think it's well deserved. He was was about time he would win the Hart Trophy. And
it really shows the personality of a player.
Yeah,
you know,
he gives it all on the ice and never leaves anything out there. They fell short in the playoffs, but he's one guy that leaves everything out there every time, every shift.
Absolutely.
So, but Quinn Hughes winning the Norris Trophy was no surprise there. I mean, it could have been in between him and Cale Makar. But Quinn Hughes, he showed he led the way to the Vancouver Canucks as a captain and got him to the playoffs the second round. And I think that series could have gone either way too with Edmonton and Vancouver, right?
Makes you think.
Makes you think what could have happened, right? But yeah, it's Vancouver had too many injuries and stuff like that, and I think that's what happened. That's what.
One of the many things that could have happened. Absolutely,
one of the many things that could have happened, and why Edmonton took that series. But Quinn Hughes is deserved. He plays just as well as anybody out there. So, Calder Trophy, Connor Bedard.
Yeah,
Rookie of the year. Doesn't surprise me, even though he was out for I think it's a couple months with a broken jaw. Yeah, broke his jaw, right. Closer to the beginning of the year. Came out with the Calder Trophy is well deserved, and everybody kind of thought that way too, right? Yeah. Connor Bedard was going to be. He came into the league and it looked like he played there his whole career. Yeah. So, wasn't surprised there. Vezina is the one I wasn't quite sure he was going to do it, right? You had Connor Hellebuyck, Thatcher Demko, and Sergei, I think it was Sergei Bobrovsky.
Oh, could have been, yeah.
Was the other goalie, I do believe. But anyways, I was tossed up between Connor Hellebuyck and Thatcher Demko, but Connor Hellebuyck ultimately ended up winning the Vezina Trophy. Yeah. But I think it could have gone either way. The Demko leading the Canucks to the playoffs, I think, and everybody thought they were going to be last, right? Or close to the bottom. And that completely changed around too. One more I actually want to add in there, speaking of the Vancouver Canucks, is Rick Tocchet won Coach of the Year. Oh, which nice. I think that was well-deserved for Rick Tocchet because, like you said, the Vancouver Canucks were projected to be closer to the bottom, not maybe making a push for the playoffs, but not getting to where they first in the Pacific, right? I mean, he completely changed the tone of that team around. He got them to the playoffs and won their division. Yeah. So it was well-deserved by Rick Tocchet and the Vancouver Canucks to get these awards and stuff like that. But as we speak today, right now, while we're recording this, the NHL entry draft is on its way. The first overall pick was to the San Jose Sharks. They haven't actually had a first overall pick ever in their existence. Huh. So they had a couple of second picks in the first round, which they drafted Patrick Marleau. Oh, yeah. Was one of them. That epic beast. I'm blanking on the other one. Patrick Marleau for sure. That's a big one that they drafted in second, but they never had a first overall pick. So with their first overall pick this year, they drafted Macklin Celebrini from Boston University, which is a Canadian. He grew up in Vancouver. Well, he was born in Vancouver. He actually grew up in California, San Jose. So he's actually very close to his home, right? And,
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So and his dad worked for, I want to say, he might have actually even worked for San Jose as a trainer, a fitness trainer. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, he had lots of ties there. So, Macklin Celebrini going to San Jose. Second round pick is Chicago, who ultimately picked Artem Lafshunov, who's a guy out of the, I believe the KHL, out of the, in the Europe League there. Oh, wow. So, they picked him second overall. Connor Bedard was there to announce it. Nice. As was Joe Thornton to announce for the first overall pick for the Sharks. So they had some higher names coming up to announce their picks today. What do you think of San Jose drafting Macklin Celebrini?
Well, I mean, I don't know. They seem to have been struggling lately. They had a good team for a while there, and hopefully it brings some youth to the team.
Yeah, it will. Yeah,
you just gotta give it time. Really, it's much like Connor Bedard. It's, the first year he's a great player, but it's gonna be longer than 365 days before it can make a actual difference. It's
Yeah.
almost like you have to bring somebody to a team that you can build them around,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a good stepping stone. Are they going to have like a big contending team next year? Maybe not, but it's a good place to start, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, first one in franchise history for a first round pick, and Mac Celebrini, I think, is a good one for them. The third round pick here belonged to Anaheim. They elected to select Beckett Senek. Yeah, I'm not. I should have. Don't really know about this draft pick too much. To be honest, Beckett Senek, I honestly haven't looked too much into this guy, but that's
He's got a good name.
Yeah, and Anaheim's making some moves here too, right? They're trying to get out of the basement as well. I mean, they've been struggling the last few years, so having a third pick, I think will definitely help them out.
Absolutely.
Caden Lindstrom is a guy from, I think, the WHL as well, Columbus. Fourth overall pick going to Columbus. And then Montreal has the fifth overall pick, which Ivan Demidov was the fifth overall pick. To announce that pick, they brought out Celine Dion.
Nice.
To come out and announce that pick. So they had a few.
She's advertising.
Right.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, had a few celebrities in the house to announce some picks here. So overall, that's the picks we got at the moment. Draft is currently going on right now, but what do you make of the overall draft and how it's set up and this whole thing going on?
Yeah, it's great. It's what I'm more interested in is the fact that Florida won the cup, and it seems like everything's just like done with. Emotions run so high for so long, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, straight into the next year.
Well, that's actually one of the points I was going to bring up too. It's like everything happened so close. Like the last game for the Stanley Cup final was end of June, and then they go straight into the awards and straight into the draft, and then they don't pace anything out. Like the draft always seems to happen and then right after that is free agency.
Yeah, and it's like something to keep in mind is just because it feels rushed to us or the viewer, there's only 2 teams that are still playing. The rest of the league is golfing. They're doing nothing.
Yep.
So it might seem rushed to us because we always have something to watch kind of thing. But after it all, it's like, if you're an Oilers fan, I imagine you'd like the wounds to heal a little more before getting right back into the hockey thing.
Yeah.
But for all the other players who have been sitting, they're sitting there waiting. It's it's give them something to do, especially with the awards. I've seen some pictures of the awards, and those guys are looking pretty dapper. I liked Matthews' dress up there.
Yeah.
It was looking good. But yeah, it's almost like they want to get it done so that everything is taken care of, and now they can enjoy their summers. Whether you're in a training camps all summer or whether you're like Marta, where you just kind of sit back and hit some holes, hit the balls.
Yeah. See where he's going to end up this year.
Yeah, I've been hearing some things. That's for sure.
Yeah. Same with him, Draisaitl. They're talking about maybe not being with the Oilers next year, and they thought if Draisaitl goes, and is McDavid going to go? There's a lot of speculation coming into this free agency, which starts on July 1st.
And that's the best thing about the speculation is people always think, oh man, it's mind-blowing. This is happening. It's like, no. Nothing is happening. Like 10 things that you think are going to happen, one of them will happen.
Yeah.
So speculation is just that, it's speculation. At the end of it, it's fun to talk about. It's fun to get excited. But until we actually see anything happen, it's all just what people think.
Yep. It'd be fun to see if Mitch Marner makes a move anywhere. I mean, he has a 10 team no trade clause, right?
Yeah.
So he can or an absolute no trade clause actually. So he can decide to stay there if he wants. It's really entirely up to him.
Yeah.
Whether or not, some people are speculating maybe he's going to go to Utah.
Yeah, I mean, it does not seem, the way the playoffs went anyways, where it's high emotion, it doesn't seem like he's really enjoying it much.
Yeah.
But then again, that's why they're showing us him, right? It's because emotions are running high and he wasn't producing and yada, yada, yada. At the end of it all, there needs to be a mix-up, and there's a new coach coming in. They got to mix things up.
Yeah.
So
things will be different this year.
That being said, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But what do you think about everything being not really rushed, but like just very fast happening, right? Like,
Well, I think I feel like the playoffs shouldn't extend to the end of June. I really don't think so. I think maybe they should bring it beginning of June. Maybe that should be where it ends, right? Then they can slowly get into the awards in middle of June or something. Give it a little bit of a break, but everything happened in 1 week.
yeah,
It ended on Monday. The Stanley Cup playoffs ended on Monday.
yeah,
The awards were Wednesday. The draft was Friday. Free agency is Monday again.
mm-hmm.
Like all in the span of a week, you got all this going on, and you'd think they would benefit a little bit if they'd spread it out a little bit and kind of spread it through the summer, right? I mean, to try to keep people inclined in hockey,
yeah,
right? And then what they do is they put everything together, and then all of a sudden they just go dark until September,
yeah.
and then they come back, right? So I don't know. Maybe space it out a little bit. I mean, maybe the players just want to get it done and over with.
Yeah, it's kind of like finals week, you know what I mean?
Yeah, get it done over with, and
Yeah.
they can go on their summers, go train, whatever they do. Most guys, I think, train all summer now. I think there's not really much of a break now, but yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, but we're looking forward to free agency starting on Monday. There's going to be a lot of speculation on who goes where, who signs. There's been a few signings already happening, but nothing crazy. But the Draisaitl, McDavid, and Mitch Marner stories are what we're going to be keeping an eye out.
Yeah.
Of course, we will bring you all up to date coming next week, Friday. We will keep
you in the loop.
Keep you in the loop, and we'll see what happens there. Yeah, I guess that. Thanks again for watching.
Sorry, Oilers fans.
yeah. Once again, you're short again, just like 06.
Better than being a Leafs fan.
At least you made it to the final, right? Good for you, Oilers.
Fans.
Next time, next year. There's always next year.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks again for watching us. Hope you have a wonderful evening.
Bye.